50 years ago, the vision for the U.S. Federation was born through a simple letter from Mother Eucharista Galvin to congregations, inviting them to meet to discuss forming a federation.
I am taking the liberty of writing to you to find out whether you think we would do well to make formal the informal bonds which have been strengthening over the past years. The Intercongregational Bulletin and the memorial established at the Shrine of the Immaculate Conception in Washington prove that these bonds are valuable. The interest in informal meetings, such as we had last week, is also a sign that we are close to one another.
The first meeting of the U.S. Federation occurred at Alverno College on August 21, 1966. A representative from each congregation was present. At that meeting, the Federation decided to sponsor research to assist congregations in returning to their original inspiration. They elected Sister Seraphin Meany as the first president. In 1970, Sister Seraphin was followed by Sister Joan DeLourde as the second president. The third president was Sister Anne Regina O'Leary, who served from 1972 to 1976. At the Assembly of 1969, the consensus statement, prepared by a research team, was shared with all the members. Subsequently, summer programs were held where sisters broke open the meaning of our founding documents from the 1600s and the impact this document would have on the lives of all Sisters of St. Joseph. In 1969, the U.S. Federation held its first meeting of representatives of various congregations. These meetings would later be known as events. Events were held in 1973 in St. Paul, in 1974 in Boston, and in 1975 in Buffalo. A challenge from the 1974 keynote address remains relevant for us today.
I wonder, if we invited Jean-Pierre Médaille to speak to us this evening, how would he greet us? One thing is sure. If he were here, he would have done his homework. He would have found out what the times we live in demand of us, and he would boldly call us to respond, just as he did in the 1640s and 1650s.
The early 1970s was a time of expansion and growth for the Federation. Federation leaders felt that there was a need for a program coordinator, and Julie Harkins was named the first coordinator in 1972. She served from 1972 to 1973, when she was followed by Sister Isabel Concannon, who served from 1973 until 1980. Throughout this decade, the U.S. Federation had strong leaders. Events continue to be an important way to share our growing understanding of the charism. At the 1979 Wichita event, Sister Julie Harkins shared words which ring as true today as they did when she first spoke them.
I have no sense in me of what it is that is in the process of being born in us as Federation. But I have the intense feeling that we are standing at a whole new place in what it means to be Federation. I'm sure that regardless of where we are in our unknowing, what happens will be the fire of life.
The Summer Institutes, begun in 1975, were held at different locations each year and offered a variety of weekend programs for all sisters. Ask any sister of St. Joseph what the Federation has meant to her, and more often than not, you will hear how deeply she valued the intercongregational relationships she formed through the Life programs. In one of the Life program talks, Sister Kathleen Keating offered this message.
Our charism is no mere abstraction, which can be separated from life. I find myself more and more drawn to the whole concept of unity, so important to our founders. Union of ourselves with God, union of our neighbor with God, and union of our neighbor with neighbor.
Since 1979, the Sisters of St. Joseph have had a strong presence at the United Nations. Sister Mary Alban Boucher of the Canadian Federation began this ministry of advocating for human rights, justice, and peace. In 1984, Sister Gloria Garcia of the U.S. Federation joined her. Leaders of the U.S. Federation continued to stretch us into the future. Many significant changes came to fruition during this decade. Beginning in 1984, collaborative programs for our newest members were now a month long. These younger members learned from our own sisters the rich traditions and heritage of the Sisters of St. Joseph. They also formed deep bonds, which would last throughout the years. Through a Federation project from 1989 to 1995, we became neighbors with the 1,000 residents of Haynesville, Alabama, one of the poorest counties in the country. Together, the sisters and their neighbors tried to provide solutions to their most pressing needs. Numerous programs and 3 more events offered our sisters opportunities to continue to push the edges of their growing understanding of the importance of the charism. At the 1986 event, Sister Betty Moslander shared the following.
Out of the chaos of our time, a new kind of world, a new age is coming into being. It is a world with immense potential for creating a global community of mutual respect and reverence among diverse cultures and civilizations, and a world with equally immense capabilities for self-annihilation and destruction, unparalleled in recorded human history. If we undertake the enterprise as co-creators and evangelizers of a new culture, we can make a contribution toward a more human, more just, more beautiful planet. If we miss the moment, if we refuse the challenge, we deny the Church and the world the precious coin of our charism without spending it magnanimously and creatively.
This was another decade of growth and change. It was clear that the Federation desired to become more of a community, holding significant diversity while finding more ways to be and act as one. In 2002, the governing board was replaced by the Leadership Assembly, and the Leadership Council began to function like a board of directors for the Federation. In 2000, the first 8-month canonical novitiate was held in Framingham, Massachusetts. Throughout this decade and the next, 79 women discerned their vocation with the Sisters of St. Joseph. Today, 50 remain as active participating members. In 2000, a major event was held in St. Louis to celebrate 350 years since our founding in Le Puy. Also, during this decade, programs began to link sisters regionally. By 2002, the Sisters of St. Joseph representative at the UN NGO became a full-time position with an office in New York City. In 2005, the dream of an international center became a reality. Located in Le Puy, France, the International Center exists to interpret our charism in light of today's realities and the needs of our world for reconciliation and peacemaking. At our 2006 event, we were challenged to expand our vision, to see the world through the eyes of our global dear neighbors. By 2011, Sister Kathy McCluskey expanded on this challenge, saying,
If we are to live our charism of active, inclusive love, if we are to engage in the mission of unity and offer reconciliation in broken places, if we are to do this with integrity in this century, we cannot do it only in our local neighborhoods or our own country or our own church. We have to see creation from God's vantage point and love it as God loves it, hugely, in all its richness and complexity.
The Federation also commissioned a new study to ensure that our novitiate was preparing our newer members for an evolving future. During this decade, our novitiate was held in Orange, California, Chicago, Illinois, and Concordia, Kansas. Social media gave us a whole new way to connect with one another, and the websites have been powerful tools to tell the story of the ever-widening influence of our charism. After a devastating earthquake hit Haiti, the U.S. and Canadian federations entered into a partnership with Mission Haiti to rebuild a high school and to offer scholarships for 10 young girls. During this decade, the Leadership Council made several significant decisions to plan for the future of the Federation. They authorized a leadership development program that provided the opportunity for 99 younger sisters and associates to experience the many dimensions of leadership in the company of our own wisdom figures. They approved the placement of the Federation archives at Avila University. They recommissioned the writing of the U.S. history. Finally, they authorized an organizational audit. In reflecting on the last 50 years, Sister Patty Johnson offered this.
Over the last 50 years, the U.S. Federation has embraced a strengthening of bonds among congregations and has embraced a more global perspective. The charism has continued to deepen in us and in the many partners who share our commitment to unioning love. As we enter the next 50 years, may we continue to be drawn by and receptive to love's inspiration.